This show contains language that is unsuitable for children.
Grant us love, filled with good intention. May we find peace in the midst of dissension. We not what they make us, though they try to break us. And say you love us, give you love. This is how
Welcome to Straight Vibes, No Chasers. Raw talk on coming out of the closet about our fears and why we're so hell-bent on resisting our highest good. This podcast focuses on the African American experience concerning fear and our long-standing romance with mediocrity. You can follow and comment on the show topics on Instagram at SVNC_podcast or go to pennymurray.com, where you can also find out more about Dr. Murray's work, her book, Giving Myself Permission, and the African American Council on Fear. Now, here's your host, Dr. Penny Murray.
Hey, and welcome to Straight Vibes, No Chasers from Dallas, Texas. And welcome to 2021. Shoot, a new year that is bringing with it a new era. 2020 has mostly left us exhausted, anxious, but yet hopeful about what is ahead. I've been worried, or all of us really, we've been worried, frustrated, and angry about all the shit we've gone through. And if you're like me, you can't help but be concerned about the residual impact these last 4 years will have on our quality of life as we move forward. Individually and collectively, we're standing at the cliff of 2020, staring into the abyss of 2021. But as sure as night follows the day, the lingering residue of 2020 will push us off this damn cliff. And our souls will go screaming as we free fall into this new unknown. This is usually the time of the year when many of us realize we've lived another year by chance, on automatic, reacting to the chaos, insanities, and the deceptions of life. This is also when we set resolutions for the new year in hopes of creating some kind of imaginary parachute that will give us an illusion of controlling our free fall into this new unknown. I'm your host, Dr. Penny Murray. Making a resolution means we're making a firm decision to do something to meet a particular goal. But here's the issue. Resolutions alone are not going to be enough to get us through the new era that 2021 is presenting to us. Deciding to do something does not result in actions. We just decide it. We haven't done any damn thing. Nor does it measure our commitment or determination. Most of us have made a lot of New Year resolutions that basically died on the vine within a month. It's easy to say that we didn't accomplish our resolutions because life got in the way. We weren't that serious about those resolutions, or we lacked real commitment and determination. There's a lot of truth in that. But the more significant factor is most of us don't set intentions. So it doesn't take much to get us off course. Setting intentions is like having a map that guides what we want our life's journey to really be about as we move through or we move up in life. When we set intentions, we're able to focus on the moment of the journey, who we are, what we will do, and why we do it. Setting intentions give our resolutions guidance, direction, and meaning. Brian McGill put it like this: every journey begins with the first step of articulating our intentions and then becoming that intention. Setting intentions also require an ongoing collaboration between our intuitive self, and when I use the word self, I'm talking about our sacred expressive life force. So it's a collaboration between our intuitive, sacred expressive life force and our divine allies. And within this particular collaboration, we're going to be more successful in manifesting our spiritual agreement. This brings me to the real topic of this episode. This new year is ushering in a new era, as I said, and we have to start setting intentions instead of resolutions. It's time for all of us to step up and start fulfilling our spiritual agreement. Now, before we get into that discussion, I gotta do my 2 cents. I like to see this segment as my contribution to Black History 365. And I know I usually focus on Texas and the ancestors who contributed to developing this state. But in this episode, I want to focus on all the ancestors and their New Year's experience. And you'll find this very interesting. At least I did, okay? But while we modern day African Americans think of New Year's Eve and New Year's Day as a time to celebrate the ideology of a fresh start, that has not always been the experience of African Americans in the United States. Before the Civil War, for our enslaved ancestors, New Year's Eve was horrifying, and the first day of the new year often meant heartache. See, back then in the African American community, New Year's Day was known as Hiring Day or Heartbreak Day. And this is because the first day of the year, a lot of slave owners would rent out their slaves to other white plantations or others, white people to do labor for them. Renting out slave labor was a very common and very lucrative practice amongst both the slave owners and those who hired the slaves. The practice of renting out slaves would be brokered between family members, friends, as well as business contacts. So the ancestors spent New Year's Eve in complete anguish, waiting and wondering and worrying if their owners were going to rent them out to someone who was harsh or cruel-hearted. Now, this practice would also potentially lead to splitting up Black families even further. Many enslaved African Americans described spending New Year's Eve hoping and praying that the whites who might hire them would be humane and that their families could stay together. The African Americans' New Year's Eve and New Year's Day experience actually changed on Wednesday, December the 31st, 1862. And this is when the first watch night services began. The watch night tradition is also known as Freedom's Eve, which was the result of enslaved African Americans gathering all across the nation on December 31st, 1862, waiting with bated breath to receive news of Lincoln signing the Emancipation Proclamation. Free and enslaved African Americans, as well as abolitionists, were skeptical that President Lincoln would keep his word about the emancipation. They were fearful that he would cave under the pressures of political resistance. So slaves everywhere gathered and prayed throughout the night and into the day, watching with anticipation of what God would do to bring about the dawn of a new day. And on New Year's Day, January 1, 1863, enslaved African Americans got the news that they were free and newly freed Blacks throughout the nation. Well, except for Texas. They celebrated the new year of 1863 with praise, worship, and a hope of a new era. That's fabulous. Now, there are only a few passages from the Christian Bible that I take literally. And one is found in Jeremiah 1:5 that says, "Before I formed you in your mother's womb, I knew you. And before you were born, I set you apart and appointed you as prophet to the nations." Now, this passage, at least for me, validates that we are spirits first. And during that time, in our spirit form, we made an agreement with the Supreme Spirit to be here in this physical form to manifest something as an offering to the world around us. Or as I like to say, we're here on purpose, for purpose, to move or elevate the energy of the world around us further than where it was when we first got here. From my perspective, the word prophet is somewhat like a job title. And that job title can basically vary. So it doesn't matter whether your agreement is to entertain, heal, protect, teach, improve, inspire, enrich, provide a craft, develop a vaccine, heal cancer, or make a mockery of the United States office of the president. The point is, each of us made a spiritual agreement. And 2020 really opened the floodgates, presenting an enormous need and opportunity for each of us to take our place among the prophets of the world. 2021 is ushering in a new era. It's going to actually require all of us to step up and make good on our agreement. That means we need to set intentions, not resolutions. And the best way to set an intention is to ask our higher consciousness what our spiritual agreement is and then name it. But most of us are afraid to truly define and identify our sacred expressive life force, mainly because it calls us into accountability and responsibility. See, we won't be able to sit on our ass waiting for a great Messiah or a savior to come and fix things for us. Because stepping up and making good on our spiritual agreement, naming it, means we recognize Supreme Spirit set us apart and appointed us as a prophet, savior, Messiah to the nations. I have to admit, when my divine allies presented this topic to me, I instantly thought about the episode from the series Lovecraft Country, where the character Hippolyta found herself before a celestial being demanding, name yourself. And just kept saying, name yourself. And in the episode, she names her sacred expressive life force several times. And each time with this name, she embodies the personification of each name until she finally settles on the one word that exemplifies the fullness of her divine essence. Giving our spiritual agreement a name is like I said, a spiritual job title that articulates our divine function to first our cognitive consciousness and then to the world around us. It directs our life's journey and allows us to manifest more meaningful outcomes. And then when we make a resolution as it relates to our sacred name, we reinforce becoming the embodiment of that name. In other words, when you surrender to the truth of you become aware of who you really are. You assume a new nature and your perception of life levels up. When we truly embody our spiritual agreement's name, we actually reclaim and take ownership of our divine spirit. We gain freedom and independence from the labels and stereotypes the outside world assigned to us. I remember the first time I asked Spirit to give me a new name. It was in 1998 and shit was bad. I had just lost my business. I lost every damn thing. My house had gone into foreclosure. I was hiding my car so they wouldn't repossess it. But you know what? Now that I think about this shit, I think that it was only my divine allies that was holding me up, until I really got my shit together. Because I'm quite sure at any given time, the repo man could have got that car, but my angels had my back. But during that time, I was so broken. I mean, when I say my shit was fucked up, it was bad. And I sat there in the dark with no electricity and everything, like I said, was just a very bad patch for me. And I demanded that God give me a new name. I guess I was thinking about the scripture. Somebody was fighting with an angel, one of the archangels, and demanded that they would give them a new name. And they wouldn't stop wrestling with that angel until the angel did give them another name. And that's just where I was. I didn't even understand the impact of what I had asked or the name that was given. My soul was, like I said, so broken and my ego was in full-time defense mode. So at the time, and I wasn't even into meditation or anything like that. I was just struggling. I was a mess and 2 shakes from committing suicide. I'm serious. It was a mess for me. And as I sat there in the dark, trying to just figure how in the hell I got to where I was, I heard Spirit say to me, I call you healer. Now, At the time, I was like, I am so broken and screwed up. How the hell am I going to heal anybody? I got nothing. And so, again, I didn't understand the impact of what I was asking, nor did I really understand what was going on and willing to accept that name. And nobody around me could help me comprehend the significance of my spiritual name. It has taken me 22 flipping years to finally start figuring shit out. And it's just been in the last year of studying A Course in Miracles where I began to learn and truly look at it again and embrace that name. And as I'm embracing it, I've realized that I don't have to worry about what to do or what to say because Supreme Spirit that sent me will direct me. And I will be healed as I let Spirit teach me to heal. So with that being said, because nobody was there to teach me a damn thing, I would like to suggest a New Year's ceremony that will help you name your spiritual agreement so you can set your intentions. And that ceremony is called a white stone ceremony. All you need is a smooth, flat white stone. You can get that at any craft store or off Amazon. But if you get it from Amazon, you'll have to order them, in bulk. You'll need a medium or fine point permanent marker, a quiet space, and raw sincerity. In this ceremony, rather than focusing in on what we will do, that's a resolution. We focus on who we are called to be. That's our spiritual agreement. And then our thoughts, feelings, and actions become more intentional, allowing the character of that name to actually emerge in everything we do. So why the white stone? Great question. First, let me just say this. We're hardwired for freedom, independence, health, joy, and prosperity. It's in our spiritual DNA. But centuries of indoctrination has clouded our memory of this truth. So the white stone stands for our true spiritual identity, and it implies an alliance between our human self and our divine nature. In this alliance, we recognize and affirm that we are in fact spiritual beings first in this human form. And unapologetically, we are declaring we are divine consciousness. Also, back in the Roman days, when someone was released from prison, they were given a white stone signifying freedom from bondage and a new start. It was also evidence to anybody that they encountered that they had, in fact, overcome a limiting condition like imprisonment. So that was the reason for the white stone. There's other elements of that as well, but you get the message. Now, listen, you can do the white stone ceremony anytime, but since we want to start our intentions at the beginning of the year, I'm suggesting that you do it at least before the end of January. Now, let's get into the ceremony. First, find yourself a comfortable space where you won't be distracted or disturbed. And then do what you need to do to get into a mental and feeling state of calm and sacred gratitude. Now, you might want to have some soft meditative music playing, diffused lighting, a scented candle burning. Maybe anoint yourself with your favorite essential oil. Do whatever gives you a sense of reverence and gratitude. And once you get into that space, then you begin to just kind of close your eyes and hold the white stone in the palm of your left hand and place your right hand over it. Now, take a slow, deep breath and then exhale just as slowly as you come into this space of sacred peace and gratitude. Just breathe deeply, hold it just for a second, and then exhale just very slowly. You want to do that deep breathing as many times as you need to get you to that sacred space of peace and gratitude. Now, remember, a name means the nature of something. And in this case, it means the nature of your sacred or your spiritual agreement. Now, after you get into your space of calm, then you want to just begin to ask yourself quietly, What is the major quality of my divine nature? Just hold that particular question, nothing else. What is the major quality of my divine nature? That's all. And then take a slow breath again, deep breath in, and then a slow exhaling of that breath. Now, don't force yourself to come up with the words or a name. Just allow your thoughts to free flow until one or two words come to the surface. Now, you'll know this because the word or the words will seem to break through all of the other mental noise. It will then begin to feel different. Now, listen, you may get a single word like healer, guardian, inspiration, compassionate, empathetic, or empathic, tenacious, any of those things. Or a combination of words such as compassionate healer, peaceful warrior, freedom fighter. It isn't anything. You never know what's going to come up. So you just want to leave your mind free. And if you feel your mind wandering, that's fine. Go ahead, let it wander, but come back to that question. What is the major quality of my divine nature? And like I said, it will then begin to feel different. That word that surfaces will be more powerful than any other thoughts that comes up. Now, when you receive the word or the name, sit with it for a minute. Does it really resonate with your soul? If you feel the word or that name at a deep level of knowing, breathe energy into it. Breathe your essence into that name. And when you're ready, just open your eyes, write the name or the word on that white stone with the marker, and then reflect on that name you wrote and its meaning. Also focus on the significance of the white stone. It's saying that you are free of all the limitations. This is the nature or characteristic that you want to begin to give life to in your daily endeavors and any interactions that you find yourself with. You want to also place your stone somewhere you can view it daily to remind yourself of your extraordinary divine nature and how the energy of that name will help you fulfill your agreement. All right? Okay. That music means it's time for A World According to Penny. Now listen, here's my closing thoughts. One of the reasons I no longer participate in organized religion is its dogma of controlled thinking and the many ways it makes you feel, or it made me feel, worthless and shameful, always begging for forgiveness, or that the way you prayed wasn't sacrificial enough. The White Stone Ceremony has an element of meditation to help you get into your sacred listening space and connect with your divine consciousness. But it has no strict rules or dogma. If you already have a meditation practice that you enjoy, that's good. But if you don't, no worries. You don't have to get into some long drawn out ritual to connect with the divine collectives. From my perspective, all you need is the intention to draw in light, truth, and love. Trying to remember all kinds of formalities, like calling out the names of the deities and saying a prayer in a certain way. All of that crap robs you of the sacred intimacy of the moment. And that's really all our divine allies want, is that we be present, intimately present with them. So just do what gives you a sense of reverence and gratitude, makes you feel loved and loving. Because the only thing Spirit asks of us is raw sincerity and humble surrender. And trust me, it's the humble surrender that our egos really resist more than anything. I know for me, the one phrase that has helped me put down my weapons and kind of soothe my ego's voice that's always going off in my head, and to get to that place of humble surrender, is the phrase, it's possible. I don't know why, but it just does. It allows me to put my weapons down because I can say it's possible that I am perfect in the way that I am right now. It's possible that I am a prophet. It's possible that I am the healer. It just kind of like settles me down so that I'm not fighting against what is truly my highest good. I do strongly suggest listening to some soothing music that puts your soul in an intimate state, because the music is like a primer or cables that jumpstart your battery and moves you to a state of love and gratitude of who you are. Okay. Now, make sure that the music is at least 10 minutes long, because it takes the brain at least 7 minutes to align with the music's energy. Also, try to spend at least 15, 30 minutes in this sacred listening space to experience its benefits. If you fall asleep during the process, don't sweat it, just don't sweat it. I call that sweet peace. Plus, our divine allies can talk to us whether we are asleep or awake. It really doesn't need our cognitive consciousness to make that connection. So just be compassionate with yourself. Just chill out, right? If you need more time to be sure about the name, that's fine too. Hell, you may not even get a name during the ceremony. You may get the word or a name a day or two after the ceremony, when your cognitive mind is preoccupied with other stupid shit. So just keep the stone with you, or put it in a place where you can see it daily to remind yourself of your intention to name your spiritual agreement. When something does come to you and you feel a connection to it, write it on the stone as soon as you can. Okay. And then, like I said, keep it in a place where you can see it to remind you of your true nature. But also keep in mind that you can keep that name, you can modify it, or you can change the name that comes to you during the ceremony at any time afterwards, depending on the guidance you receive from your sacred expressive life force. It may adjust that name in some way. It's like the character Hippolyta. She named herself several times and embodied those personifications until she actually settled on one that genuinely described the fullness of her divine essence. And the same is real for you. So whatever spiritual quality comes to you, it will help you set your intentions throughout the year and guide how you manifest your spiritual agreement. All right, I want you to remember, 2021 is about rebuilding and reuniting us with all of our divine powers that is available to us. And so, as I always say, you are never the victim of life. You are always the student of purpose. So what skill or higher consciousness are you learning? What task or message are you being prepared for? I really appreciate you tuning in to another episode of Straight Vibes, No Chasers. And I certainly hope you will keep listening and grow with me in this journey. If you like the show, please do me a favor, leave me a comment. And if you haven't already, like, share, or subscribe to the podcast. You can also visit my website, pennymurray.com. That's Penny with an I-E. And go to the podcast page to get the White Stone ceremony instructions and the transcript of my closing thoughts, which were, just some tips on moving forward as you get into doing the ceremony. And somewhere down the line, I'll probably do an episode on meditation because I think we got it all twisted. Again, that's the world according to Penny. So you can also find out more about my work and how you can support or be a part of the dialogue on Straight Vibes, No Chasers. Now, the next episode, I hope I can finish part 2 of the Freedom Song. But every time I go to write it, my allies are taking me in another direction. And so I'm just kind of like following them. But again, thanks for listening. And I leave you with this quiet thought for the new year. Why was I born? What's the nature of my unique genius? What are the best gifts I have to offer the world? Of all the wonderful things I could accomplish, what can I give that is most needed? I have an appointed task that I alone must fulfill, and the universe is waiting for me to take my place among the prophets of the world, to give my offerings. Until I make this choice, I am nothing more than a slave to my ego's limitations and the bigotry of this world. When I willingly and gladly accept my appointed spiritual agreement, I will recognize divine knowing is already within me to achieve it. I know my agreement is not a race. It's a journey. It's not about doing. It's about being. It's not a task to complete, but my sacred identity. But I also know that the battle scars of my illusions have caused me to choose fear over love and trust. Yet, despite my fears, I choose the path of my spiritual agreement. Where that path leads me, I choose to go. What it would have me do, I choose to do. And even though I'm afraid, I choose this way because I'm confident my footsteps are ordered and the end is secure. So I set my intentions on taking the ambitious but patient route, and I surrender to my manifest destiny. Ashe.
You've been listening to Straight Vibes, No Chasers with Dr. Penny Murray. Listen and subscribe to our podcast from your mobile device with your favorite podcast app. If you have any questions, topic ideas, comments, or want to invite Dr. Murray to speak at your next event, go to contact us at pennymurray.com. If you're in the North Dallas, Texas area, we invite you to become a member of the Inner Wellness community by taking part of the African American Council on Fear.